Hello, I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today you are in for yet another treat, because every video with me is a treat. But today is a reading vlog, and not just any reading vlog, but a Buzzwordathon reading vlog. So if you are unfamiliar with Buzzwordathon, it is a readathon hosted by Books and Lala, and I will link the announcement video down below, but typically it's every month there is a word prompt and you need to read a book with that word in the title. However, this year I believe is the 10th anniversary, I could be wrong about that, of Buzzwordathon. So there are 2 challenges each month. One is the typical title prompt, but one is a cover prompt. So for March, the title prompt is a title with the word thing in it. So it could be like thing regularly or like everything or something, you know, whatever. And then the cover prompt is something that has a book on the cover, book or books on the cover. I am trying to participate every month. And the way I'm participating is that every month I want to read a book with the title prompt within that month. And then I'm trying to do the cover prompt also within the corresponding month, but I'm okay with just, as long as I complete all 12 by the end of the year, I'll be happy with that. This month, what I did was I looked through everything on my shelves to see if I had anything that fit either prompt, and I don't. So I took to Storygraph because this readathon is kind of being hosted on Storygraph. So everyone who's participating, even I guess if you're not participating, you can go into the Storygraph and add books to the challenge. So you can add books to each prompt, which has been super helpful. I looked through, I had 2 saved to my Storygraph that I was interested in, but one was a nonfiction and I don't remember what the other one was, and they just weren't speaking to me. So I took to social media to try and find some recommendations, and I have not found one for Thing yet. Okay, and here's the real tea, okay? I, for some reason, had it in my head that the title prompt for this month was With, and so I had decided that I was going to read Hell Followed With Us by, I don't remember the author, but I was gonna read Hell Followed With Us because I have it on my shelf, and I was like, oh, perfect, I can get the audiobook, it'll be great, I'll read something from my shelves. And then Books and Lala posted her Buzzwordathon reading vlog for the month, and the title prompt for this month is Thing, not With. So I'm not entirely sure where I got that from and why I thought that's what it was. So that brought us back to square one for the title prompt. Now for the cover prompt, I also didn't have anything on my shelves, but I don't remember where I got this book recommendation, but I had found a romance novel actually called The Next Best Fling by Gabriella Gamez, and that's what I'm currently reading. And it is a librarian romance, and I guess it's in a little series because it's called Librarians in Love. How exciting. And I don't know if you can tell because it's not in color, but they're leaning up against a bookshelf and there's books on it. So that fits for this prompt. And this I had actually found and had wanted to read and put it on my Goodreads want to read shelf. And then I was like, oh my god, that'll be perfect. So I'm reading that for the cover prompt. Now for the title prompt, I don't know, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. I have something from the library. I think it's Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca, I think, because that's actually a Books and Lala recommendation, and that's probably what I'll end up reading, but I'm not sold yet. I don't know that I'm in the mood for a dark horror novel, but I'm really excited to read this one, The Next Best Fling, because I'm really in the mood for a little romance. The weather's getting nicer, it's sunny, the birds are chirping. I feel like a romance is what I need, and I have actually already started reading this one. So we follow Marcella, who is a librarian, a teen librarian, which is so fun for me because that's actually what I want to do for my career. So super exciting. And she is, you know, not doing super great when we first start because her best friend, her best friend Ben, who she's also in love with, is getting married. The way the book started, the very first chapter was he was pulling out the ring and it made it seem like she was getting proposed to, the way it was written, and then he was just showing her the ring that he's going to use to propose to his now fiance, and I loved the way that was written. But she's been in love with him forever and he does not reciprocate the feelings, and now he's getting engaged. And at the wedding parties and everything, she runs into Ben's brother, Theo, who is in love with Ben's fiance, Alice. So they're both in love with the 2 that are getting married, and so they're at this point kind of trying to work together to work through their feelings. So I'm really enjoying this. I wish that it was dual POV, and I guess it might, it could still be, but I don't think so. Right now we're only getting Marcella's perspective, but I really like her as a character so far, and I'm really enjoying what's happening. She is also a plus size main character, so I'm really enjoying the conversations we're having around that. I can kind of see, I fear, where we're going to run into some the 3rd act breakup. I can kind of already see where it might go with that, and I don't love it. And that is, this isn't a spoiler, is that when Marcella meets Theo, he is practicing his speech drunkenly of what he's going to say to Alice to like try and get a chance with her. And Marcella's like, absolutely not. And I fear that what's gonna happen is they're gonna start falling for each other, but she's gonna be telling herself, no, there's no way he likes me, when like he's into her, it's not me, like we're not having a relationship. We'll have to see that. But I'm really liking the writing so far. It feels a little simple at some points, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I am really enjoying this. So I have the audiobook too, and I really like the narrator, so I will just keep reading and keep you updated. Like I said, I don't have something solidly for thing in the title yet. Fling rhymes with thing, and I keep thinking, oh, this, no, they just rhyme. So we'll have to see, because I don't have anything on my shelves, and I would ideally like to read something that I own, but I simply don't have anything. I'm too silly. We'll see. But oh, I forgot to mention, Theo is also like an NFL player, so we've got like librarian, sportsman, and I've noticed I quite enjoy a sports romance. Like I really like sports in media. I don't like watching actual sports, which is very interesting. I think because it takes out all of like the boring, just like monotony of the sport and just gives me like the key moments, you know? So I am interested to see how this goes, and you know, I don't think it'll be a 5-star just because it's very hard for romances to be 5 stars for me, but I did have a 5-star romance last month, so it's not impossible. Very excited about this. I also still have my Valentine's Day thing, but I feel like it works with my romance that I'm reading. Also, the cover is so cute. I'm going to put like an actual picture in so you can see it and see the books on the cover, but I'm really enjoying this so far. I'm only on chapter 5, I think, but I'm enjoying it. Also, I just started it like 20 minutes ago, so we're getting through it quite quickly. I will keep you updated with this, and then also once we finish this, then I think we'll decide what to read for the title prompt. But I'm just gonna keep reading. So I'm reading, obviously, and we are still in Marcella's perspective. I don't think we're gonna get Theo's perspective, which is a little disappointing because it seems like he's got some secrets. But she is going into work today, and she works at a library, and she's a teen librarian, and the way she describes how she fell in love with libraries is just very similar to how it was for me. She said, I didn't just fall in love with books, I fell in love with everything about the library. From talking the youth librarian's ear off about the latest book I read, to sharing book recommendations with parents to get their kids into reading. My cousin even let me display my favorite books in place of her staff picks a few times. For years I was an honorary member of their staff until an aide position opened up when I turned 16. I didn't even need an interview to be hired on the spot. A year working at the John Pierce Library on campus was enough to tell me public libraries were where my heart truly lived. I spent the next 3 years working as an aide at the Pure Belpré Public Library before becoming a full-time assistant after graduation. And then my dream came true 6 months ago when Pamela Brown retired and Erica recommended me to take her place as a teen librarian. And that is just so true to the librarian experience. I wonder if the author herself is a librarian, because I grew up going to the library and I loved it so much more than just like for the books. Just like the environment of everyone there who loves reading as much as I do was so fantastic. And then I became a page, which I imagine is similar to an aide position, and then I went to college and worked at the academic library on campus and knew that I liked it, but public libraries are where I wanted to be. And now I'm just waiting to get my master's degree in library science. She doesn't mention master's degree and like going to school for that, but I know that's not the case in all states, that you don't need that, and that might just be a detail that's glossed over. But curious to see if, you know, getting her master's is ever mentioned. But the way she fell into her position is like exactly how it happened to me, so I just really like that little detail, and it really rings true to the librarian experience of it all, so I'm really enjoying it. And just like that, in the very next chapter, my questions are answered. So her best friend Angela also works at the library, but she was like in school to be like a teacher or something, and then she realized that's not for me. So Marcella, our main character, recommended her to work at the library, and she said that she was in her master's program to become a youth librarian. So I would imagine that Marcella also did her master's, and we're just not going to talk about that. Totally fine, but I like that it was mentioned because it is a requirement. And then I've got beef with Ben. He's the best friend who Marcella isn't in love with, because I think she's fallen out of it. But Ben is like, for being like, oh, I think we're better off as friends, he was like texting her good morning and like good night and like sweet dreams every day, and I was being like, everyone you date is awful, like they're terrible people, you should break up with them. But like, you don't want to date her and you're just gonna make, I don't like that. I just don't like that. So beefing with Ben at the moment, because how are you going to be like constantly with this girl and constantly texting her like good morning and sweet dreams and all that, and then be like, oh, but I think we're better off as friends? Gagged. But then also telling her at the same time that like everyone that she's dating is awful and she should just break up with them. Suspicious, right? But I'm on chapter 7 now, and I can see that, first of all, I have not started reading this chapter yet, but there's like a text message, and it says, "What are you up to tonight?" This is Theo, by the way. Hilarious. I really like Theo. He's quite silly. Just wanted to pop in with those thoughts. I'm really enjoying this so far. And the audiobook, again, really fantastic. That clip you just saw was me reading what I thought was going to be a sex scene. It wasn't. They stopped before they could fully get there, but chapter 18, yeah. It is significantly later now. It is 9, it's probably 10 o'clock at this point. I am like 55% of the way through and gooped and gagged. This book got me gagged. See, we have a quote up here from Abby Jimenez, who blurbed this book, and it says, "Funny, smart, and spicy." And had I read that before going in, I would have known spicy for sure. But like in a, ooh, okay, get it, girlies kind of way. Very consensual, very, let's talk through it. That's nice. Okay, so where did I leave off? I can see the bad that is happening. So they are together under the terms of, they know it's just like a short-term fling type thing, and we can kind of see, we don't get Theo's perspective, but you can kind of tell just in the way he interacts with Marcella that he wants it to be more long-term, and she's just kind of like, no, it's just short-term, it's fine. However, he's kind of making it clear that like feelings are starting to develop. At least it's clear to me. I don't know if it's clear to her. However, I think a problem here is that Marcella knows that Theo likes Alice, and that's why she's like, oh, it's just short term, like just helping him like get some distance from her. Theo does not know that Marcella likes Ben, who is his brother. And at this point, she's kind of getting over Ben, which is good because it's turning out he's not really a very good guy. Her feelings for him were just kind of like clouding her like full judgment of him. He's like very possessive of her, which is icky because not together. However, Alice and Ben know that Theo likes Alice, and so there's that. Marcella still has not told Theo that she likes Ben, and that's who she's like getting over here. She said like it's just a guy from college, not stating that the guy is Theo's brother. So I think that's where we're gonna have some problems here. But I think also, like, I wish she had just told him, but at the same time it kind of makes sense that she didn't, because she didn't from the jump. So had she done it like later, it would have been like, oh, you know. She's like, so like I didn't tell him then, what difference does it make if I don't tell him now? She knows that it's a problem. But there was a really cutesy scene where Marcella is hosting this like YA book club night, and she's like super excited about this, like her night. She's dressed up as a book character because all of the like library staff are dressed up as book characters, and she is dressed up like a character from the books they're reading for this book club. And I looked it up. It's not a real book, but the way she describes it's called like Before the Dawn, I think, and it sounds so good. Like the way she described it, I was like, this author should write this book. But besides that, so she's dressed up like the main character from that book, but then Theo shows up at this book club and she's like, he's ruining my night. But then she's like, no, I'm not gonna let him ruin it. So they're doing this activity where like she has like the teen participants broken up into groups to act out their favorite scenes from the book, and she pulls Theo in, and it's like a romance fantasy type novel, and she pulls Theo in to like act out like the end scene, like big dramatic like love confession scene. And they eat it up, and it's so cutesy. And then after that, Theo is like signing up for a library card, and he's like really excited about it. He's like, oh, do I get to pick my library card design? And she's like, wait, that's kind of cutesy. Why am I feeling things? Like, are there butterflies? And it was just so like, because yeah, if I, as a future librarian, if the person I was interested in was like super excited and like getting involved in library stuff, gagged. So really enjoying that, and I am really loving this. I'm having a great time. I really like the writing. I really like the like Latina influences that are in here because Marcella is Latina, and I'm really loving. We met her mom, and I love her mom. Her mom's a cutie, and I just really like how it's like, I don't want to say it's not in your face because I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was, but it's very like just like part of Marcella's life, as if like how it would be like for a real Latina woman. And I really enjoy that. Like just like the certain foods that she eats and like how her hair, she's always talking about how her hair is like super curly and so like it gets frizzy sometimes and how she's a little bit self-conscious of that. Really love it. Also, being plus, I don't love the way it's handling her body image, but I think it's just because, I don't know, I tend to prefer books with plus size characters who are like super confident in themselves, but that's not always the case, you know? And especially you don't start out being confident, you know, you have to like build up that confidence. And Marcella's like, on my good days I know how great I am and I know how beautiful I am, but like on her bad days, especially when she's like about to like be naked in front of Theo, who's like an NFL player for the first time, she's like, I just don't know, like I know the type of girls he's used to are not like bigger like me. And he's like, girly, don't you worry, you see the way I'm looking at you, yeah, you're fine. And so then she's like, ooh, you're so right, okay. And then she moves past it, but like she talks through those insecurities with him, and I really liked that. So I'm really enjoying this. Like I said, I'm like 55% of the way through. This is such a cutie book. And I think it's gonna be a series, if it's not already a series, so that's really exciting. Like I said, I fear that the like third act breakup is going to be that Theo finds out that it's Ben that she's like kind of pining over. It's, even though she's kind of like moving past that now, but we'll have to see. Also, I'm curious if Alice and Ben are actually gonna end up getting married, because it kind of feels like Ben is just being made out to be like not this great guy. Like, I don't know. But also I think that might be partly due to Marcella has always seen him as like this pinnacle of what a man could be, because she was like had like the rose-colored glasses on of like, I am in love with him. And now she's finally not in love with him as much, moving towards not being in love with him at all. And so she's seeing him truly for who he is for the first time, and she's like, he's not perfect like I was picturing him to be. So I'm also really liking that, how like love can kind of cloud how you view people, and I'm kind of eating it up, I'm gonna be honest with you. Problems that I'm having it with right now? Not really any. I'm really enjoying it. I do wish we got Theo's perspective though. I do prefer my romances to be dual POV, just because I think it, you know, gives us more. But I don't know, it had me blushing, butterflies in my tummy, so I'm going to go to sleep, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Good morning, cutie patooties. I haven't actually read any more this morning, but there was a quote in the book that I read last night that I want to share with you, and also I'm just gonna give you a cutie little update. So first, again, like I said, haven't read anything yet, but I've been thinking about the book, and it's really good. I'm very excited to get back into it. But also, I'm a grad student. I was working on a paper this morning. So I've been doing a lot of like academic reading, and I'm just ready to read my little romance, truly. I'm working on a paper about the information needs of youth and her being a teen librarian in the book. It feels very kismet, you know? I'm really enjoying reading these two things together. Very interesting, but I quite like it. So the quote I wanted to share with you is, I think I mentioned it last night, how they were like hosting this book club for teens at the library, and she's talking about how they choose the books, and I'm gonna share this with you. We chose our next lineup of books from across a wide range of authors from different backgrounds. San Antonio has a large Mexican-American community, but we also serve people from many different communities. We get lots of kids from the neighboring high school who know exactly which books they're looking for, and the disappointment on their faces when we don't have what they want sticks in my brain more than the excitement when we do. I've made it my mission to buy as many of these books as possible for our collections. I don't just want more kids to read, I want them to see themselves in the books they're reading. If I can do anything to help influence that, I'll fight in any way I can to make it happen. And yeah, Queen, yeah. I'm gonna actually look right now and see if this author is a librarian, because the way she's talking about things, it's like, that is the librarian experience. Or at least it's my librarian experience. And I just love when we get those little tidbits. I'm like, yes, this queen is a librarian, and she is a damn good librarian too. So let's see. She's an author from South Texas, writes about incredibly messy, well-meaning women trying their best and accidentally falling in love. I don't think she's a librarian. Huh. Interesting. That's really very interesting. I would have thought for sure that she was a librarian just based on the way she writes librarians, which is so full of like love and experience. So very interesting. But I'm not mad at it, because truly the way she's writing Marcella is so fantastic, and I love it so much. So just had to share that, because yeah. Also, I want to share the dedication of this book. As soon as I opened the book and saw that this was the dedication, I was like, oh man, I'm in for a treat. It says, for all the readers, educators, and librarians fighting the good fight to get diverse books into the hands of those who need them the most, I hope we win. And oh my god, queen, she's a queen for sure. So new favorite author question mark, just based on her like this alone. We'll have to see, but I haven't read anymore, so I have no more to update you on that front, but just wanted to share those things because I'm eating this up. Okay, I'm eating it up. I cannot wait to get back to it, but I am going to get breakfast and then read some more because I'm so excited. I finished I made myself a little list of tasks that I need to do each day to actually get my paper done on time. So I finished my task for today, which means the rest of the day I can just read. I'm excited. I'm real excited. So catch me reading a whole bunch later, and I'm going to finish that book today because how can I not? You know, how can I not? So also my shirt's pink to match like the cover because the cover's kind of pink. I'll put it in again so you can see it. Yeah. I'll see you again once I have actually more coherent thoughts about the book itself to share with you. I am now on chapter 28, which is like 75% of the way through. They have broken up, but Theo is not taking no for an answer. Not in like a creepy, gross way, but in a like a I know we can make this work, you just have to be willing to try kind of way. And Marcella's like, my feelings, I don't want them to get hurt, I'm gonna push you away. I'm like, completely understandable given her circumstances, but I'm trying not to give too much away, but like it's a romance, so I feel like we know they're gonna end up together, but I'm trying to like not give away too much of what happens. Right. So they have broken up, but Theo took her on a date because he was like, this to me is like more than just casual and I want it to be more than that. So he took her on a date to the library. And at first I was like, to her place of employment, like, but it was so cute. He did it in the YA section and she was like, a date surrounded by all my favorite books. Gagged. And then he was like, I want more. Like, I want a relationship. Like, I have feelings for you. And she quite literally ran away, got out of her chair and sprinted out the door. Okay, so now here's the thing. There's a gift waiting for her that she's like refusing to open, and I think I know what it is because he had asked her for book recommendations, gagged of course, and listened to her like go on and on about all of her favorite books, which goals. And then she was talking about how she's given away some of her books because she wants her old high school's library to still be up to date, so she donates some of her books so that they can have more diverse, more up-to-date books in the library. And he was like, well, how many do you still have to like replace of your own books? And she was like, oh, I have a whole like Goodreads list. So real of her. And he was like, oh, well, let me see it. I think that this box that's like this gift for her is full of all the books that she still needs to replace, because he's got that NFL money. Oh, but then okay, before they went to the library, because that was like the part of the date that was for her, before that he took her to the high school where he now coaches football, and he like taught her how to play, which gross. Not for me, but like it was cutie for them, but I was like getting all sweaty and like running around, not for me, thank you. No, but it was cute for them. Okay, but now I'm on chapter 28, and the emotions that I'm feeling, it's like upsetting because it is like a third act breakup, you know, it is. However, it makes complete sense for the characters, right? Because the reason Marcella isn't willing to like give more and like try it out is because she's like, we both still have feelings for other people and we both admitted to having feelings for those people. Like, I don't know how we're going to be in this relationship together knowing. She's like, I don't want to be turned into like the jealous type because I know that you still have feelings for her, and like she's going to be married to your brother and like you're still going to be in your brother's life, so she's still going to be in your life, and I don't want to have to constantly be paranoid about you having feelings for her when I know you have feelings for her. And like that makes complete sense, but it's like, girl, just give it a try. But you also know why she's not, and it's like very understandable why she's not willing to put in more, because she's like, I don't want to get hurt, because putting herself in this relationship would be like signing herself up to get hurt. At least that's how she sees it. And I'm just like, queen, you can do it, I believe in you. So I think there's only like 34 chapters, so, and there's an epilogue. I love an epilogue. Also gagged when I was looking up the author, I found out that she has another book coming out in May, and it's Angela, the best friend story. So it's continuing in the series, The Librarians in Love. Angela is with a woman. Praise Angela. So I will be reading that, and I'm super excited, and also love Angela. She's fantastic. So really looking forward to that, and also very exciting knowing that I'll get to return to these characters when I'm done with this one, because I'm loving it. Do you remember when I started this vlog and I was like, I don't think it'll be a 5-star because it's like not very common that I give romance 5 stars, and now I'm absolutely eating this up? I don't know, girlies. It's definitely not going to be any lower than a 3 point. See, I say that now, but I guess it depends on how it ends, because it could have like a really horrible ending. But anyway, I am going to continue reading, again, chapter 28 of like 30 something. So we're close to the end and I'm stressed. Okay. I feel like typically romance novels don't get me stressed out when they break up because I always know they're gonna get back together. But this, I'm like, I don't know, because we still have like Ben and Alice's wedding, and then Theo and Marcella, like, are they gonna get back together, and how are they gonna get back together? Like, I have a lot of questions, and I'm like, girl, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading, but I just needed to update you because, good lord, there's a lot happening. So I'm gagged. When you saw me breathing out in relief, too soon. Okay, so Angela came over to Marcella's house to just like, you know, talk it out and, you know, suss out the situation and like try and make Marcella feel better. And they ended up getting drunk, and then Marcella stole her phone back from Angela, who like took it from her when they were getting drunk. And she was like, yeah, you're not texting anyone, but she took it back and she texted who she thought was Theo and was like, let me read you the exact text. I changed my mind. I can't walk away from you for good. Please tell me you still feel the same. I want to give us a second chance. And she sent it to Ben. As soon as I knew that she, like, as I read that she was texting someone, I was like, it's gonna go to Ben. And then she, like, read the text. She's like, oh, he hasn't seen it yet. It's fine. And then a few more paragraphs. It's Ben's. She sent it to Ben. This is gonna be so horrible. And now Ben's calling her. This is gonna go so horribly. Because what if Ben's like, yeah, no, I feel the same. I'm just waiting for you to say so. There's no good way out of the situation. I did not see this coming. Of all the twists that this book could have taken, did not see this coming. I am gagged, okay? I've been using that word a lot. That's just like my new favorite word. And it's exactly how I feel, gagged. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading, obviously, because I simply need to know what happened. Because they're literally having a phone call. Like, she sent the text, she saw it, she realized she sent it to Ben instead of Theo, and she was like, oh my god, what do I do? And it immediately changed to read instead of delivered. And now Ben is calling her. Oh, I'm gagged. Okay, anyway, gonna keep reading. Theo's meeting Marcella's mom. there's a playlist with descriptions of why the author included the songs. Little dance break. I love when an audiobook puts music. They usually do it at like the beginning and the end, and that was like really good music. Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna read the acknowledgements because I always read the acknowledgements, and then I'll get back to you with my thoughts. Girlies, it was so good. It was so good. Oh my god. Okay, I want to say 5 stars, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Right? Like I feel like I need to like let it marinate, but it was so cutie. In the epilogue, Theo was meeting Marcella's mom. Adorable. It was so good. That ending conflict was getting me all flustered, so I had to take off my sweatshirt. But oh my god, this book is so good. Okay, so let's recap, right? So she sent the text to Ben, and it caused Ben's relationship with him. I don't want to give spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip until my hand is down. Okay, but it causes Ben and Alice's relationship to come to an end, but it's not like the full cause, right? Because Alice is like, she has bigger dreams than just staying there. Like she wants a job in journalism, like outside of this. And so the text is kind of just like the catalyst for their relationship ending, but the relationship does end. Okay, spoilers over, kind of. I feel like it's a romance, so there's not really a whole lot I can spoil here, but like anyway. So yeah, that goes down, and then we have like the reckoning of everything, and it's crazy. I did not see this coming, but also it felt so good for the character, like being inside Marcella's head and just like the feelings that she has because of Ben and for Ben, and then seeing how she like rectifies that at the end was like, yeah girl, you get him. And I really love that. And also just like the way her, Theo, and Alice all kind of like come together in the end, very cutesy, very wholesome. And then how they end up like making their relationship work, because they obviously end up making it work, obviously, but like they both have like real valid fears that like kind of hold them back at first, but it's so cutie. And then the way Marcella's like, I want to say I love you, but like I don't know when, and then she does, and it's just so perfect. And then the epilogue, I love an epilogue in a romance novel. Okay, I don't always love when it's like a wedding. I like when it's a proposal. I think that's cutie, but I think for the sake of Theo and Marcella, it would not have made sense. So I really love that it was Theo meeting Marcella's mom. That was so adorable, and I loved it so much. And just, oh my god. And then there was a whole playlist at the end. I think it had like 10 or 11 songs with like a description from the author of why she included it and what part of the book she was writing while listening to it. Fantastic. I've like, there's been playlists included in books I've read before, but never with like descriptions like that. Loved it. I had such a fun time with this. Next Best Fling, so good. I don't really know what else to say other than this was so fun. I had so much fun reading it. You saw me, I was gooped and gagged reading this because I did not see it coming. Had me on the edge of my seat, had my heart beating, butterflies fluttering. I was so deeply engaged with this. I loved Marcella as a character, and I loved her as a librarian. Obviously, that was like so much fun, and I really loved reading that. And I really do wonder if she just like knows, like has a lot of librarian friends, or if she like talked to a librarian when writing the book, because fantastic. It was so good. It was so cutie. This was honestly like the perfect romance for me, because I hate when we leave it off. I think I mentioned this in my other romance reading vlog, where I hate when a romance just like ends with them getting together. I don't like that. I want to see how the relationship actually works. And I feel like we did actually see that, because we see like Theo and Marcella kind of like being together a little bit when they're in their whole like just a rebound stage. And then we actually see them like going on dates towards the end, and it was just so perfect. And like, that's like what I love in a romance. And also the way everything worked out with like the surrounding characters, it felt very natural. Like it didn't feel like, oh, we're getting to the end of the book, so we need to wrap it up. It felt like, no, this is like the natural progression of this conflict. I really enjoyed that. And also just them together. Oh. And the way that Marcella talks to her mom about the relationship, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but her dad had left when she was 12, and that's kind of like the root of a lot of her problems with Theo in their relationship, because she doesn't want to be left and she doesn't want to leave anyone to make them feel the way that she felt. And so then she talks to her mom, and her mom like apologizes and is like, I'm so sorry that your dad leaving has made you so like distrustful That's the word I want to use. I just don't know if it's a real word, but it has made you so like insecure in relationships, and like I'm so sorry that happened to you, but like look at all the good that's in your life now, and it just, oh, I loved it so much. Yeah, that was a good one. I really enjoyed it. I don't even know what else to say. Like, that was so fantastic. I read it in 2 days. It was really good. Highly recommend Next Best Fling by Gabriella Gamez. I think new favorite author. I've only read one thing from her, so I can't say definitively, but that was really fantastic. Also, this is a debut. Girl, when I said previously that the writing felt a little simple, I can tell that it's a debut now that I know that. I'm like, yeah, I see it, but also for a debut, that's really good. Like, the twists, girl, for being a romance, this had me on the edge of my seat in a way that romances don't typically do, but also not in a way where it's like, I just thought I was getting a romance. This is too much. This was like drama. Yeah, read this. Fantastic. And that satisfies my cover prompt because there are books on the cover all the way down. And I will say there are quite a few sex scenes in this book. There's a few. Definitely funny, smart, and spicy. Yeah. However, they all feel, I was gonna say they all feel well placed. There's a few where I'm like, guys, have a conversation first. Like, we have things we need to talk about. So no. There was also one where they were like on a bench. They didn't like do it, but they were like getting handsy with each other. I was like, guys, you're outside. Like, you're in public. But you can just like feel the connection and like the attraction between them. And the scenes are very well written. Like, I wasn't reading it like, ugh. I don't typically love a spicy scene in a book because typically I'm just like, This had quite a few, but because their relationship started out as like a friends with benefits thing, it made sense for them. So there's not really an aspect of this book that I disliked. Crazy. It might be another 5-star romance. Am I becoming a romance girly? Maybe. And this book would be to blame. But truly, this was so good and satisfies my prompt. So that's one of 2 books read for this vlog. And even if the next one I read is a flop, this was so fantastic that I don't think it'll matter. Right? Yeah. So I still, after reading this, I don't really want to go into like a graphic horror novel. So we might have to find something else. But right now, that's not my concern. I'll deal with that later because I just want to bask in the glory of this. So I just want to, loved it so much. Okay. I am going to go for now, and then I will pop back in. For me, it's going to be probably a few hours. For you, it'll be like not even a few seconds, and we will decide what we're going to read next. It is significantly later. It is now 11 p.m. I went grocery shopping. I ate dinner. It's been a lovely evening, but I reflected more on my thoughts. I was telling my mom all about the plot of my book, and she was like, oh, every time I was like, and then. So that was fun. And I did decide on a 4.5 for that one. I have this spreadsheet where you can track all of the books that you read. I can never remember who did this sheet, who made this sheet, because I got it from another bookstagrammer and I just like made a copy because she put it out there for free. But I'll put it in the link, her channel. But there's a section where you can put in your ratings for character, plot, writing, setting, and enjoyment all out of 10, and it'll score it and then give you a star rating. So for characters, I gave it 10 because I loved Marcella and Theo and all the side characters. And then for plot, a 10 because how could I not, you know? For writing, I did give it a 7 just because I can't give it a 10, you know? I really enjoyed it, but I can see that there's still room for this author to grow. So if I give it a 10 now, you know, and I feel like 7, like that's still really good, but I can just see the room for growth. And then for setting, I gave it a 6 just because the setting wasn't like a big component of the story, and I feel like it could have been set anywhere kind of for it to be the same. Now I will say the like San Antonio setting with like the Mexican American influences definitely did go into that, but I don't think that was setting so much as like characters, you know? So I gave that a 6, and then enjoyment a 10 because how could I not? So that all came together to make a 4.5, and I'm very happy with that rating. So those are my thoughts on that. And now I will say, I don't know that I necessarily recommend this if you're just looking for like a fun, easy breezy romance, because there's like so much more to it and so much more like drama, but I think it's worth it sticking through it if you're like, I don't know that I want all this drama, because it's really entertaining, first of all. And I just think that like the messaging from that drama is like, put yourself first. You are deserving of love, even if it doesn't feel like it, and you're deserving of love in ways that you might not realize. You know, because the first love that you have might not necessarily be the best for you. So really enjoyed that read. And now I am reading Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. Now I am reading this version that's Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes. So it's 3 short stories. And I think the one that Books Nala recommended is just the first story in here. So we'll have to see if I continue on past that. But so far, I'm enjoying this. So Goodreads describes this as a whirlpool of darkness turns at the heart of a macabre ballet between two lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s, a darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires. What have you done today to deserve your eyes? What do you mean? So that's the one that I'm reading right now, and this is about two women. One, Agnes, she is selling this like antique apple peeler that has been in her family forever and has like story around it. And then Zoe, who goes to buy it, but then Zoe just like gives her a whole bunch of money and it's like, for your rent, and if you ever need any more, just let me know. And it's like really very interesting, and like you can see these two becoming like very intertwined very quickly. And it's very interesting because it's set up from the beginning that like, you know, something goes wrong here, because it's like these messages were received as part of like this criminal investigation, and some things are redacted because the investigation into Zoe is ongoing. So we know something goes on, and we know that Zoe might be the cause of it, but we don't know what. And also it's a short story, so I can't really give a whole lot away, and that's also all I know at this point. Well, I'm on page 45 and that's like 13%, and I'm quite enjoying it so far because you can just feel like the obsession and like the pull of these women. So very interested here. I'm very curious to see how I feel about this, because it only has, this story in particular only has a 2.94 rating on Goodreads, which is very low, and the whole short story collection only has a 3.19. So still very low, but I feel like it could be because I feel like it's going to be a niche type of horror, you know, because it says Eric LaRocca, they, is a 3 times Bram Stoker award finalist, and Splatterpunk award winner. Splatterpunk, as far as I understand it, is like one of the most like gruesome graphic types of horror. So I feel like that makes sense. But I don't know, I'm interested, and a lot of people have been like, it's absolutely disgusting, but I couldn't look away. And Books and Knowledge rating was a 5-star and just said iconic. So I don't know, I feel like I don't typically pick things up like this, but I'm trying to get more into horror, and I feel like I'm interested. Also, I feel this is a very nice juxtaposition between like a cutesy, fun, dramatic romance and then just like pure horror. So we will see. Like I said, I'm on page 45. I am going to go to bed tonight because it is late and I have to make more progress on my paper tomorrow, but I think I can finish it tomorrow, honestly. Yeah, probably. So I will keep you updated in the morning, but for right now, I don't really have a whole lot to say on it because I just started it, and also they've just kind of been talking back and forth. So we shall see how it goes, because I fear how dark it's gonna get. But I do love stories about obsession, especially between two women. So I will catch you in the morning. Are you going to sleep right now? Sleep so good if you are. It's the next day. Significantly later, I'm back in my pajamas. I'm cooking dinner. But while I'm cooking dinner, I decided to read for a few minutes until I need to go flip my chicken. And I fear the freak is starting. So I'm reading Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, and things have gotten worse since they last spoke. We're following Agnes and Zoe, and Zoe's a freak, okay? So they've switched from emailing to like instant messaging, and okay, so Zoe is the one who sent Agnes like a whole bunch of money, and now she's like, my father used to have a saying when I was really little. At the end of each day, he used to ask me, what have you done today to deserve your eyes? It took me years to understand what he actually meant. Our eyesight, among other things, is a gift that we take for granted. It's not something we always think about until we lose it. We don't covet our hands until we lose a finger. We don't praise our hearing until we lose an ear. What have you done today to deserve your eyes? You're asking me? You can't answer, can you? And then she says, I'm going to check in each day and make certain you've done at least one thing to deserve your eyes. So then she tells her, asks where she works, and is like, oh, like, what's going on? And she said, you're going to go out this weekend and buy a brand new red dress. You're going to clip the tag so you can't return it, and you're going to wear it to work. That's not all. You're going to buy a tube of blood red lipstick and wear it with your new dress. I want you to take a picture of yourself in the employee bathroom and send it to me as proof. I'll be expecting the proof from you. This feels weird and freaky, and I don't think that I like this. It's just, I see the freak starting. I don't like how Zoe's talking to her. Like, she wasn't like, oh, do you want to do this? It was, you're going to do this, and I will be expecting the proof from you. So, you know, we'll see. Also, I was reading some reviews just because I was curious, you know, wanted to see, and I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Riley Marie, actually, and she was like, I'm never using an apple peeler again. So is the apple peeler going to be like a murder weapon here? Like, are they going to like peel each other? Freak. I'm gonna keep reading. I am now on page 141 of this book, and there was just a quote in one of the emails sent. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. I think there's something wrong. I love when the title of the book is used actually in the book. However, I fear for what's happening next. I'm on page 141 and I think there's only 145 pages, 52% of the way through, and there's 3 stories. So now you're gonna get to watch as I finish this, because this email starts with, I take the apple peeler from the kitchen and I crawl into the bathroom closet. What is she gonna do with that apple peeler? I don't know, but we're about to find out, and you are along for the ride with me. Okay, the ending was much shorter than I thought. Just this and then that, and that's it, because then this pops up and I thought it was going to be like the next chapter, but I think it goes into the next story. So that's the end of that. I liked it. I did really enjoy it. Was it freaky? Yes. Was it like capital F freaky? Yes. But at the heart of the story, was it just 2 desperate, lonely women coming together and seeking motherhood and a sense of connection? Yes. And did it completely tear them apart and ruin them in the end? Also, yes. However, they were kind of cutesy. Maybe a little. That was really something, wasn't it? Let me collect my thoughts. I think at its core, that is a story about obsession and how obsession can consume you. Wanting something that you can't have so badly and going to extreme lengths to get it and hurting yourself in the process just to please someone else and to make yourself happy at the same time. It was crazy, but I enjoyed it, and I do think I'm going to read the next 2 stories, especially because I'm already 52% of the way through and there's still 2 more stories. So the next one that we have to read, let's see what we have going on with that one. A couple isolate themselves on a remote island in an attempt to recover from their teenage son's death when a mysterious young man knocks on their door during the storm. Okay. I feel like I haven't seen anyone talk about this story. I feel like I've only heard things about the first story. I don't think that the other 2 in this collection are going to be able to compare to the first one, just because, wow. But I am going to read them because I am curious, and I did enjoy the writing of it, so I'm also curious to see if the messaging for this one changes. I imagine that it would, but I'm curious. So I am now going to read the second story. Second story. Oddly enough, both stories had to do with crucifixion and pregnancy and like wanting the feeling of something growing inside you. The second one I did not like as much as the first one, mainly because like I liked where it was going at first. The middle I was kind of okay with. The end, not really for me. Like I just, yeah. Okay, now I'm on page 230, which is 88%, and there's still 1 more story. So the second one was really very interesting. It was very religious. I feel like I'm gonna be thinking about these stories for a long time, because they're just like, they're the type of things that like stick with you and you like mull it over, and then you like come up with like you find new meanings in it, and it like starts to mean new things to you. The first one I definitely preferred. The second one, I thought was good, but not as good as the first one. I think I really like the format of the first one because it was told through like emails and then like instant messages, where this one was just written like a story. And like it was fine. It didn't really do anything for me in that way. It was weird though. You saw my reactions while I was reading because it kept taking turns that I was not expecting. Yeah. So I read the little description, but it was about this couple and their son dies in a way that I was not anticipating. That was freaky. And then the husband gets this job to be like the winter caretaker of this like remote island hotel. Bad idea. Also this happens, like, I don't think this is a spoiler, but it happens in a world where they've made a discovery that like the afterlife does not exist. Like there is no heaven. And so a lot of people are committing suicide, I guess, is what was implied. And like a lot of people are just like, well, my time to go, which I think is an interesting reaction to that news. They're dealing with all of that. And so there's a lot of like, well, now that you have that news, like, what does that make you feel? Like, does that change the way you live your life? And then, so they're on this little island as like, they just need to get away. And then this mysterious guy shows up and he is truly a mystery. And he kind of just makes everything go bad, but they get like stranded on this island. Or do they? These are the type of stories where they end and you're like, okay, but what? And I think that I like that. I don't always want a like, yes, this is what happened, here you go. And I like that it kind of leaves you thinking, okay, well, what actually happened? And like, what did I just read? Was any of that real or like what? So I did enjoy that. I am going to finish it right now and you'll get to see my reactions to this one as well. I don't know, that one was like really, really weird. But like in a good way. I'm gonna read the last story now. Let me also tell you what this third story is about. A man confronts his neighbor when he discovers a strange object in his backyard, only to be drawn into an ever more dangerous game. Let's see what this last story has in store for us. But because we're at the end, I keep getting this like, before you go, girl, I'm not done, let me finish. Okay, I finished the last story, which means I finished the book. It was disappointing. I feel like that one should have been in the middle and then it should have been surrounded by the other two, because that last one was significantly shorter than the other two and also much less exciting. It was about this guy who finds this bone in his backyard and it's like engraved with someone's initials and it has the same initials as one of his neighbors. And so then he goes and he talks to the neighbor, and the like weird game or whatever it said in the description is like, he's like I'll bet you that you can't do this, and he keeps betting until it gets to like, yeah, a kind of deadly spot. But the author in the afterword mentions how all of the stories are about like the human need for connection and wanting to connect with someone or something else. And I do feel like that's a good way to like tie all three stories together. They all are about that like human tendency to seek connection. Ranking, it would be first story, second story, third story. Nothing comes close to the first one. I think this is either gonna get a 2.5 or 3 star for me because I liked the first story like a decent amount. I thought it was quite entertaining, had me turning the pages, you know, but the other two were lackluster and didn't really keep me gripped. Excuse the horrible quality. I just wanted to pop in and update with my thoughts. Yeah, it was really something. I am giving the full collection a 3.5 simply because I loved that first story. I would give the first story like a 4. The middle one I would give like a 3, and then the last one I would give a 2. And I know 3.5 is probably not the average of those ratings. However, 3.5 feels like what I want to give it because I really loved that first story. And the second one did not stick with me in the way that I thought it would. And the third one really just felt like it was an idea that the author had. It was like, I'll just throw it in there because it didn't feel nearly as complete as the other two. And it felt very just like thrown in at the last minute. So I didn't like the third one like at all, really. The second one, I liked the premise, but I don't like the way it went towards the end. And like, that's totally a me thing. And like, maybe it's because I just didn't get it, but it just wasn't really for me. The first one I absolutely loved though. So maybe just pick up the first story because you can get it by itself. So maybe just read the first one. The second one I think is worth the read. The third one, not at all. So those are my thoughts. So that's where I'm at with that. And since I finished this, that means we're at the end of this vlog. I read my 2 things. For the title prompt for this month, Things, I read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes by Eric LaRocca. And for the cover prompt, I read The Next Best Fling by Gabriella Gamez. We had a 4.5 star and a 2.5 or 3 star. I'm gonna have to think on that one and see what sticks with me, you know? But that means that we have finished this month's Buzzwordathon. And that's very exciting because I did fear for a second that I wasn't going to find something for the title prompt. So go me. Go Books Nala for posting her video and reminding me that the title prompt for this month was not with, and I don't really know where that came from, but you know, it is what it is. And I read 2 books, and the thing is, while I didn't love this one and I didn't have any 5 stars, I had a good reading experience. I read a romance and then a weird, dark, freaky horror, and I think the juxtaposition of those 2 was quite nice. So that's really all I have to say on those. I really love both of the books that I read in their own unique ways, you know, and I will continue to read things from both of these authors. So pretty successful reading, and I completed 2 prompts for the reading challenge. So go me, go you for sticking around. And that's really all I have to say because it is now like 10 p.m. So I will be seeing you in my next vlog. Thank you so much for watching. Have you read either of these books? Are you participating in Buzzwordathon? I would love to hear. Otherwise, go ahead and like the video if you did like it. You don't have to lie. Subscribe if you want to see more from me because I know you do. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.